That he who blesseth himself in the earth shall bless himself in the God of truth. And he that sweareth in the earth shall swear by the God of truth, because the former troubles are forgotten, and because they are hid from mine eyes. For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. But be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem, and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying. There shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that hath not filled his days. But the child shall die 100 years old. But the sinner, being 100 years old, shall be accursed. And they shall build houses and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. They shall not build, and another inhabit. They shall not plant, and another eat. For as the days of a tree are the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands. They shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth for trouble, for they are the seed of the blessed of the Lord, and their offspring with them. And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. The wolf and the lamb shall feed together, and the lion shall eat straw like the bullock, and dust shall be the serpent's meat. They shall not have destroy in all my holy mountain, saith the Lord.
The Lord promised better things for us, okay? Because the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, has a favorite people. And he's going to give this favorite people a heavenly kingdom. A kingdom that's blueprinted and formatted and patterned after his mind. How he want a kingdom to be.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Kakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful elect out there pushing the word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures to the faith in Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. All right, what I want to get into today, is dealing with, the upside down world, Esau, Edom, and it reminds me of a precept in the book of Jeremiah, how was Esau searched out, and as 2026, is in full swing. All right, the tone is being set. And this devil is being exposed, and everybody's complaining about this society. There's an awakening, People not awakening to the truth, but people are awakening, all right, until, they're awakening to the fact that this place is a scam, okay, that they've been deceived. People are ready to check out, all right, because these people are waking up to the deception, okay, and they don't have a comforter, okay. Only the remnant, all right, the elect of Israel will be awakened, all right, but awakened to a comforter, you see. And we're going to value, we're going to continue to see the value of being comforted, okay, as these people begin to awaken and bug out. You see, these people are awakening because they're getting ready to lose it, okay. The Lord is finna have, all right, society on crash out mode, okay. But there's, all right, an inquisition being made of the devil, and it began with the Holy Spirits, because now everyone is sounding like the prophets, okay. Now you people are finna see why the prophets put such emphasis on the so-called white man, because all these complaints, we did the video the other day from the beloved El Shaquat, his channel GMS Dedication. Subscribe and be edified. All right, well, just 20-some minutes of people just complaining, and it all goes back to E. Okay, all this complaining in the planet Earth, it all goes back to Esau, Edom. All right, and you people of the world going to see, because whenever we bring out the so-called white man, okay, when we teach, everybody wants to jump to this nigga rescue. Okay, but here it is. All right, 2026. Everybody's complaining. Okay, well, all your complaints can be rooted back to the devil. Okay, as we're going to go into this video, I'm going to get some precepts. All right, but we're going to go into another video, and it got this one guy, and he's just going into some things. Okay, well, this all goes back to Esau, Edom, man. Okay, you people are finna see why he's the devil that the Bible speaks of, why he's the wicked. Okay, you're going to see why this man needs to be put in chains more than any other nation, man. All the nations going into captivity, okay? But this nigga here, okay, he's a source of the problems of the planet Earth, man. And the Lord is bringing it out, all right? This is Jeremiah 49:7. It says, concerning Edom, thus said the Lord of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? Okay, because the man, the Lord has Esau, okay, looking extremely tacky out here, man. He's not operating, under that same covering that he once had. There was a time when this devil had a covering. He was slick, he was smooth, he was, no one knew what was going on. People were just enjoying, life in America and distractions in their own little world. And, people had little communities and things on the up and up, vacations. And okay. But as this man has gotten closer to transitioning to his new world order, he's had to cause a lot of disruption, as he tries to bring this old world to a stop. Okay. And transition into the new world, he has had to cause a lot of disruptions. Okay. And in these disruptions, people have, been fired. People are looking into things. People, have more time to be on the internet. Information, okay, is going to and fro like the scriptures say. All right. And there's a spirit that's exposing this man. Okay. So now this man is scrambling, trying to establish this new world order, and he's being called out, man. The Lord had this man moving tacky, okay, it's sloppy, okay, predictive. This man has become very predictive in how he moves, man. Because he used to moving under the veil of darkness, but now there's a light on his ass, man. Okay, Jeremiah 49:10 said, but I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places. He shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not, man. So Esau has been made bare. Okay, he can't cover himself up anymore. It's out there. Okay, everything this devil's past, okay, is being investigated. Okay, what he's presently doing is being investigated, and what he's trying to do. All these things are being scrutinized, man. Okay, and and the devil can't go back because people can't unsee what's been seen, man. Too much information. It begins with the ministry of the prophets, man. Okay, because it's the ministry of the prophets that isolated the so-called white man, Esau, Edom, man, as the problem of the earth. Okay, and now everyone is sounding like the prophets, man. Everyone that's making sense sounds like the prophets, man. That's making any kind of sense. Okay, and that's the Lord exposing this man on a whole nother level. Okay, before he's judged. See, Esau is being exposed, all right, before he's judged. Let's go into the book of Mark. Okay, and all these things are promises, man. The Lord promised that he would expose this man. All right, Yahushua, when you go here to the book of Mark, chapter 4, okay, and 22. All right, let's get in the AMP real quick. All right, Mark 4 and 22. You know, because everything was in the timing of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. This is the book of Mark, chapter 4, verse 22. It said, "For nothing is hidden except to be revealed, nor has anything been kept secret, but that it will come to light. That is, things are hidden only temporarily, only," it says, "until the appropriate time comes for them to be known." Okay, so you go into the last part, that is, things are hidden only temporarily until the appropriate time comes for them to be known, and this is the appropriate time. Okay, because the scripture said, "What then shall this man be revealed?" Okay, then shall this man be revealed. Okay, so we're witnessing all prophecies. Okay, just jump off the page, man. Okay, everything is happening according to thus said the Lord. Okay, so let's go here. Let me get this back in the KJV. All right, this is 2 Thessalonians 2 and 7 said, "For the mystery of iniquity doth already work." Okay, because when this was written, this was during the time of, pagan Rome, Greco-Roman Empire, all right, ruled by Esau, Edom. During this time, it says, "Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way." So the Lord, has allotted this man the time to rule in wickedness, man. And now the time is almost up. Okay, that's why he's been, all right, revealed. He's been unveiled. Okay, he's been exposed. He's been made bare because that time is up. Okay, it says, "And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth." Okay, and the prophets, okay, are the mouthpiece of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, and this devil is being consumed. Okay, that's why he's pushing so fast to, lock things down for censorship. Want to control the internet. He wants to control the narrative. Trump wants to, here it is. What the hell? You got Trump saying that, it's that demon Pam Bundy. Okay, that damn she devil. They're speaking of making the crime, to be anti-Trump. Okay, and these devils are doing these things because they want to stop the truth. Okay, they want to stop these other narratives as well. Okay, but the priority, they want to stop this word from going out because this devil is being consumed, and that's what's making him fast track, his new world order, because he's being consumed. Okay, by the mouth of the Lord, which is the prophets, man. Okay, and this is leading up to what? "And shall destroy with the brightness of his coming." Okay, which is Yahushua. You see, so here it is. There's a major outcry going out against this devil, man, and this wicked society that he has established, man, because this man has established upside down world as the norm. Okay, this is a complete upside down world that this man has established as the norm. Okay, to where people have accepted things that are not natural, things that are completely ass backwards as the norm. Okay, this is the most perverted, twisted, ass backwards culture to exist. But Esau, he good at organizing chaos because it's organized. People think it's normal. Okay, people think this man owns something. All right, because it's organized, man. Like my beloved brother, all right, Nahalia out there in Orlando. You know, he uh as he was here last week, man, he kept speaking on how just because it's organized doesn't mean that it's right. You know, and this devil, all right, he has organized, okay, wickedness, man. Okay, he has organized, all right, chaos, confusion. Okay, and people accept these things as norm, and that's why you go here. Let's get this. Let's get this in the book of Isaiah, 29. Okay, there's the book of Isaiah 29. It says, "Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he have no understanding?" You know? So this man, okay, has turned everything completely upside down. Okay, this is Esau's rulership because he's anti-Messiah, he's anti-righteous, he's the adversary. Okay, so he's built to be adverse to anything that's righteous, man. Okay, and the thing and the order and the structure and the righteousness that was set up from the beginning, going back to Genesis. Okay, this devil goes all out his way to corrupt it. Okay, and then create a standard that's complete opposite to righteousness, man. Okay, this man has laws, okay, that protects, okay, abominations, man. Okay, he has a system, okay, that affords, all right, complete opposition to righteousness, man. You know, this is a legalized rebellion that this man, you know, has established in the earth. Okay. Okay. And what I want to do is go ahead and segue to this video. And I have something on the chat dealing with that Isaiah 29, you know, and I want to expound on it, you know, after this after the video, you know. So let's go here. And this is from the brother Yaqua Hopefully 3. Okay. and the title of this video is "The Kingdom That Is Upside Down." All right, and this man, okay, has established the upside down in reality, man. Okay, so let's play this.
Every generation thinks it's unique. Every single one. But if you're paying attention right now, you can see something deeper happening. Not just trends, not just politics, not just cultural shifts, but a complete inversion of reality itself. What used to be considered common sense is now mocked. What used to be respected is torn down. What used to be obviously destructive is now celebrated. And I don't know about you, but it feels like the ground underneath our feet is being flipped upside down. It's how our systems are structured, man. The institutions that were supposed to build us up are hollowing us out. The food that we're told is healthy makes us sick. And the medicines that are supposed to heal us don't. In fact, a lot of the times they do the exact opposite, and they even trap us. The relationships that we're told that are meant to be fulfilling leave us empty. And the education that's supposed to expand our minds narrows our thinking. Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't an accident. This is the world we've inherited. A world that's been engineered in many ways to keep us dependent and compliant and disoriented. And what I want to do right now is walk you through it step by step, not to complain or lament or play the victim, but to show you that that pattern is real. And more importantly, to show you how to break out of it. So let's start with the most basic need: food. Our food system is completely inverted. You don't have to look far and wide to see how bizarre it is that a box of neon-colored cereal can end up on the government's healthy list, while whole foods like grass-fed beef or eggs or raw milk from a farm are demonized. That's not nutrition. That's profit-driven science. We live in a nation where alcohol is legal and raw milk is illegal. Make that make sense. But yeah, when that broken food system leaves people sick, where do they turn? Well, the medical industry, of course. And here's the very important part, one of the greatest takeaways that you need to know here in this video is modern medicine didn't just evolve naturally. It was deliberately shaped by people with money and power. Remember this name, look it up, John D. Rockefeller.
And we went over this guy, was just one of those elite families. Okay, it said it was shaped with people with money. Well, who are these people, man? Okay, who are these people? Esau Edom, the so-called white man. He's the culprit. Okay? Esau Edom is him. Okay? The reason why most foods, okay, that you have access to are chemical based, okay, is because of Esau Edom. All right, and America has, all right, the most chemical based food products on the planet Earth. Okay, there are people that live in third world countries that eat far better quality food than what's available, all right, to the American public, man. Okay, and as he has made, okay, farming, all right, as he has made farming, okay, a a corporation, okay, instead of a what you will call an essential skill, okay, he has made farming an industry instead of an essential skill, all right, for average people. And the average person is completely dependent on this man, okay, for everything that they consume, okay. Then he, all right, uses their dependence, okay, to do what, man? To push poison. Okay? This is the devil that the Bible speaks of. This man should be nowhere near, all right, any place of authority. He really shouldn't be on the earth, man. Okay? That's a problem for another time. Okay? But we know shortly, man, that this man is finna be removed from power. That's phase one. This man being removed completely, okay, from power, man. Okay? It's all on the whole nation is a problem, man. And if these lower level Edomites, if this guy, if he's an Edomite, if he had the wealth, okay, he was born into one of those families, he will be doing the same thing. Okay? The earth has an Edomite problem. Okay, and everything that he's going to continue to complain about, all right, you can direct it straight to Esau Edom, man. Everything that he's going to complain about.
Being one of the most influential. So Rockefeller's creation of the General Education Board in 1902 is, and his funding of medical schools through the Flexner Report in 1910. Look that up. Flexner Report, Flexner. What that did was it reshaped medicine into a standardized pharmaceutical-driven industry. What that means is natural medicine, holistic healing, and herbal traditions, things human beings had used for centuries and relied upon, that were tested and approved, were painted as quackery and systemically erased. And you might be asking, well, why? Because you can't patent a plant. But you know what you can do? You can patent a pill made from petroleum derivatives. You can do that. That's what they did. That's what he did. And by 1921, Rockefeller was funding the Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center, part of a nationwide movement to professionalize medicine, but with strings attached.
So let's go here since he spoke about it. You know, let's look this up. Okay, the Flexner, report, and see what that what Rockefeller did. You know, in order for schools to receive those big donations, or they will have to conform, all right, to his style of medicine. Okay, which the Lord gave us herbs, okay, from the beginning. Okay, scriptures speak about, you know, the physician. Okay, how the Lord, you know, created the physician. You know, prayer, the herbs. Okay, but remember, everything that the devil does is in complete rebellion to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. All right, so let's go here to the what they call the Flexner. All right, report. Okay, where they made medicine. Okay, let's see. All right, so let's go here. It said the Flexner Report of 1910 said authored by Abraham Flexner. All right, for the Carnegie, Foundation, which there was another, you know, elite. All right, the Carnegie family. Okay, there was another one of those super rich, you know, billionaires. Okay, of early America. It says a landmark study that revolutionized medical education in the U.S. and Canada by advocating for a scientific university-based model. You know, so this is where they linked medical school to their universities, man. All right, and made it uniform so where everybody was learning the same thing. All right, they wasn't teaching you to, you know, deal, with you know, the source of the problem. No, they was selling you products. Okay, it was all about selling products and profit. It had nothing to do with, you know, truly learning, you know, the body and getting into the herbs and getting into, you know, diet. And no, it was about a product. Okay, it went from herb and holistic healing to petroleum based. Okay, it said lead and this Delaware Rockefeller was what? He was the number one oil refiner in America, man. You know, eventually in the world. Okay, so to create a new market, for oil, you know, he created a new, industry where petroleum was used, in the medicines, man. Okay, and this is not medical, all right, information. These are just the facts. Okay, these are your, okay, this is your history. Okay, these are people that you celebrate and, you know, build his name after these guys. This is their history. Okay, and just reading it. He said, leading to the closure of many substandard schools and establishing the biomedical approach as the standard. While Herman Gates, Westcotton was a prominent figure in medical education and a dean, he is not the author of the original 1910 report. All right. So it says, impact, it said, led to the closure of over half of the existing medical schools by 1935, established the 2+2 model, 2 years of classroom, 2 years of clinical rotations as standard. Okay. Influenced the training of African American physicians. Oh, I be. Listen to this, man. Influenced the training of African American physicians, recommending separate but equal training for Black communities. Separate but equal training. So I wonder what was going on in this separate training. Okay. This man is always targeting the tribes, man. Okay. Damn devil. You see, but he'll be looked at as a hero. Nah, man is the devil, man. Okay. And now people are going into these things, man. This man is being searched out, man. Okay, this devil is being dug up. Okay, let's go here real quick. Go back to the scriptures. Okay, because this man is just anti-life. Okay, so let's go. Let's go here real quick to the book of Sirach. You know, this Elder Zahab. It's his book. You know, but let's go here to the book of Sirach. All right, this is the book of Sirach, chapter 38, verse 1. It says, honor physician with the honor due unto him, for the uses which ye may have of him, for the Lord have created him. Okay? So, you go back into the physicians of old, especially going to, Israelites, man. They dealt with the earth. They dealt with the herbs. It said, for the Most High cometh healing, and he shall receive honor of the king. Okay, and healing, began with prayer. Okay, it says the skill of the physician, it began with prayer. Then, you will administrate the herbs. Okay, it says the skill of the physician shall lift up his head, and in the sight of great men he shall be in admiration. The Lord have created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise would not abhor them, which is avoid them, man. Okay, and this devil here, he has completely avoided the medicines of the earth, man. Okay, and then it has made the industry of potions. All right, he's a damn witch. You see, when the beautiful thing about it, you have, brothers that's into the herbs, amongst the body, and we all should be into it to some degree, man. Brothers have, tapped into the tinctures, the regimens, the detoxes, and, brothers been tapping in. I said El Zahab was always the, the physician amongst, the Mississippi camp, but hey, in this time, man, we all need to know a little something to, have ourselves on a regimen, to heal a certain element, ailments or whatever, man, because we should be leveling up, man. The truth is 360. Okay, but yeah, man. So you see the devil, this whole system is just anti-Messiah, anti-life. Okay, so let's go here. Go back to the video.
Schools that wanted his money had to adopt the new model, and that new model is full-time faculty teaching research-based pharmaceutical-driven medicine. That's the origin of the system we live under today. It wasn't just about progress. It was about control. It was about designing a system that made us dependent on treatments rather than empowered through prevention. And you know what they say? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. But yeah, it's still structured that way. Treat the symptom, not the root cause. Keep people coming back, keep the money flowing. A patient cured is a customer lost. Now, that same thinking shows up in our work culture. There's another guy you might be familiar with, Henry Ford, right? Ford Motor Company. What did he do besides build cars? Well, he created this thing called the 40-hour work week.
Now, who was Henry Ford? Okay, Edomite. Okay, and every complaint, every wicked system that's functioning to, zap you, okay, of your life, okay, your creativity, your health, every system that's set up to destroy was set up by Esau Edom, man. Okay, Henry Ford, damn devil. All right.
He popularized it. And it was praised as progressive at the time. But what it really did was create a rhythm where human beings were optimized for industrial productivity. 5-day labor, 2 days of consumption, work to produce, then spend your earnings to keep the machine running. That rhythm has barely been questioned in 100 years. Barely been questioned. In over 100 years, even though technology could have freed us. The point was never freedom. It was stability for the system. And this broken foundation leads us to another inversion, the way we treat sickness and obesity. Instead of seeing health as the baseline, we've normalized dysfunction. We tell people it's empowering to accept chronic illness instead of fixing it. We market pills and injections as shortcuts instead of, talking about things that are important like, sleep, nutrition, movement, and community, right? Obesity is not a moral failing, but it is a healthcare crisis. And the problem is not shaming individuals. The problem is that an entire system profits from keeping people stuck in cycles of poor health. The more dependent you are, the more valuable you are to these industries that are selling these treatments, these subscriptions, these products that keep you just functional enough, just functional enough to keep paying and needing their products. We shouldn't be celebrating sickness as normal. We should be asking why a society with such a vast amount of knowledge and technology seems to be getting sicker and sicker and more anxious and more fragile by the year. Let's move to another cornerstone, relationships. We live in a culture that glorifies short-term hookups over long-term commitments, celebrates divorce parties instead of building resilient families, and then also pushes the idea that being perpetually single or endlessly trading partners is somehow empowering. What? Make that make sense.
Yeah, family is a big thing, and this is another thing, the devil has, pushed the concept of family as optional, and especially amongst Jake, okay, which, he makes it convenient, okay, for women to be single mothers, especially amongst the tribes, because he knows the dysfunction that they breed, okay, which he's going to go into it in general, okay, but that's another thing that was targeted at Jake, when he destroyed the concept of family, when he pushed, family to be optional, he pushed this, woman can do it by herself, and, this independent woman, he began giving assistance, he began to create, jobs. And that's why you see now, so many women are losing jobs, because a lot of those jobs were never really needed like that. Okay. In this man's system, he created a lot of jobs that wasn't really needed like that. Okay. And as you can see, as he's dismantling the system and he's doing away, All right. And he's working his way from, the non-essential. All right. And eventually it's going to be everyone. But as you can see, when he started to dismantle the job, because the thing was to make the woman, the breadwinner, okay, or to supplement her not having a man with assistance, okay, to make it convenient, okay, to be a single mother. All right. But it wasn't, all right, normal. That's not normal. Now you have situations that happen, like every single mother is often, she just wasn't out here wilding. Okay. But for the most part, this man created it to be a norm. Okay. And he did that for the sake of dysfunction. And it's much easier, okay, for him, all right, to manipulate, okay, a household that's ran by the woman. Okay. And he's done that a few generations, and you see the results. Okay, this is the upside down. Things that were, rare. All right, this guy has made the norm. He glorified particular, men. Okay, he made, the men that would be considered degenerate. Okay, in a regular civilization, there's no civilization where criminals, okay, in prisons were glorified. No generation in history ever done that. Glorified criminals and degenerates, prisoners, serial killers. No civilization ever done that. Okay, but you go into black culture, which is a subculture of Western culture. All right, that's the norm. You see, had us looking up to degenerates, man. I always reflect back on the most wasted times, of coming up was trying to imitate degenerates, man. There's so, many other skills I could have had, during that time. Because you look at the things, because I always look at it like I didn't accumulate nothing trying to imitate the goddamn degenerate, man. Nothing of value came with it. Okay. But Esau presented these men as the choice men, because it's the upside down one. Okay. And the men, okay, the men that will make good fathers and good leaders, those are the men, okay, that are disregarded amongst our people. Okay. Go to 50% of Jake that don't have children, that's in the middle class. Those are professional men. Okay. But those men are not glorified amongst the culture. Okay. The top, the lower tier, the degenerate, okay, that's what's glorified. You see? So this devil intentionally, does these things, okay, when it comes to society as a whole, but it's a target on the tribes, man. Okay. But he's going to speak on it some more.
At the same time, we've created a legal system where in divorce, fathers are routinely reduced to part-time parents or visitors. Children grow up without strong father figures because of this. And the data is crystal clear. Fatherlessness is linked to high crime and drug use and high rates of depression and anxiety and all sorts of ills that we're seeing in society. A society that sidelines fathers sidelines its own future. And yet the narrative we're fed is that this is just how things are. It's just how they are, What are you going to do? Just that, that broken families are normal, that it's fine to raise kids without balance. The reality is that it isn't fine. Children pay the price. Boys grow up without guidance and girls grow up without protection. And cycles of dysfunction just repeat over and over and over and over. Now let's dive into division. Because if you want to further weaken a society, you don't have to invade it. Not a single shot needs to be fired. You just have to divide it by, race against race, religion against religion, left against right, male against female. None of this is speculation. This is exactly what the former KGB defector Yuri Bezmenov warned about back in, I believe, 1984 in an interview with G. Edward Griffin over 41 years ago. And at that point, he said that their goals were overfulfilled. So imagine how fulfilled they are now. But yeah, anyways, so he explained that the real weapon of the Soviet system wasn't espionage. He mentioned that only 15% of their resources went into James Bond style spy work, right? The romantic stuff that we see in movies. That was only 15%. The other 85% went into ideological subversion, which is a slow process of changing how a nation perceives reality itself. And so he broke it into 4 stages. And those 4 stages are demoralization, destabilization, crisis, and normalization.
To change the perception of a society's reality. Okay. Demoralization. Okay. Destabilization. Okay. Crisis. And then normalization. Okay. So the things that were immoral, okay, are now the norm. And it's a process to make things that are immoral, things that were once rejected by society, the norm now. Okay. And it's all, was a psyop, because he's talking about this KGB agent, which is likened to, that's the Russian version of the CIA. Okay. Which all these government have, these intelligent, arms of the government, and the ones of the West, especially the West, are very diabolical, when it comes to the psychological warfare that they wage on the masses, man. Okay, and there's a heightened target when it comes to Jake. Okay, because he does it to the masses, but there's a heightened target when it comes to Jake. Just run it back real quick.
Spy work, right? The romantic stuff that we see in movies. That was only 15%. The other 85% went into ideological subversion, which is a slow process of changing how a nation perceives reality itself. And so he broke it into 4 stages. And those 4 stages are demoralization, destabilization, crisis, and normalization. And the first one, demoralization, this takes 15 to 20 years, long enough to raise an entire generation. And what you do is you pump an ideology, the ideology of the enemy, into the soft heads of American students and in the schools and the media and the culture, until these young people lose their roots and lose their confidence and their ability to tell truth from lies. And once the demoralization process is complete, even when they're confronted with true facts, true information, they cannot process them. They can't process them at all. They're too far gone. And then the second stage, destabilization, that takes 2 to 5 years, where the economy, foreign relations, and defense are undermined. You create crises and weaken trust in institutions. Then there's crisis, which is a tipping point. It's often manufactured, and that causes chaos and fear. And then finally, the last stage is normalization. So that's when the new order is imposed. And so in the interview, Bezmenov pointed out in out in cynicism of the term.
And right now, America, is in the phase of crises. Okay, because they're at the doorstep of introducing the normalization of a new world order. Okay, so you go through those phases. All right, demoralization that has happened. Okay, America is demoralized as hell. Okay, and not only America but the world. All right, because America was used to demoralize the world. Okay, so the most potent demoralization came here in America, man. Okay, now the destabilization, which is to disrupt the economy, disrupt the job market. Okay, disrupt the quality of life. Okay, people can't afford housing. People can't afford food. All right, the bare essential. That's destabilization, destabilize. Okay, and it's going into what? Crisis mode. Okay, food crisis, housing crisis, healthcare crisis. Okay, more violence, mass shootings. So we're sliding into crisis mode, which is okay. The devil's getting ready to introduce, all right, the normalization of this new world order, man. Okay, so I want to get this here, because I looked up something in the chat dealing with Isaiah 29 and 16. All right, this is the book of Isaiah. Matter of fact, it's in the chat. I want to get it, pull up something in the chat. So let's go here. Okay, so I looked up Isaiah 29:16, meaning customs, dealing with a pattern in the ancient world. All right, it says in Isaiah 29:16, meaning an ancient part of customs. It says what the verse is saying in plain terms. It says Isaiah 29:16 rebukes people for reversing reality. Isaiah 29:16 rebukes people for reversing reality. Okay, the Most High speaking through Isaiah compares them to clay that argues with the potter. The message is the created thing is acting as if it created itself and knows better than its maker. In context, Isaiah is confronting leaders in Jerusalem. All right, and this is speaking about the wicked leadership at the time. Okay, who thought they could hide their plans from the Most High and control the outcomes of their own. Now this is speaking to Esau. To qualify, this precept, it was speaking to, the leadership, all right, during the time of Isaiah, and I want to say this was the, he was speaking to the northern tribes at this time, before they went into captivity. Okay, I have to check and make sure. Okay, but he's speaking to leaders of Israel. Okay, but now who can we apply this to? Okay, who's been this secret in the background? Okay, reversing the reality, trying to reverse the reality of the Most High, make reality into His own image. Who's been doing that in secret, man? Okay, it said the verse uses sharp irony. It said the pot says you didn't make me. The object says of his maker he doesn't understand. Isaiah's point is that this attitude is both foolish and arrogant. Okay, and this is Esau Edom today. Okay, this is a foolish and arrogant plan that this man has with this new world order. Okay, and all this wickedness that he's done, okay, to get to this point, okay, it's gonna be all for naught, man. Okay, but this is a foolish, arrogant idea. It says potter clay customs. I said potter clay customs in the ancient world. To understand why this message was so powerful, it helps to know how pottery, okay, works in Isaiah's time. The potter had total authority. In the ancient Near East, a potter owned the clay, chose its purpose for a jar, bowl, lamp, etc., shaped it entirely by the hand of the wheel, could destroy and remake it, all right, if it was flawed. Okay, that's why it says, surely your turning of things upside down should be esteemed as the potter's clay. Okay, which the Lord's going to destroy because Esau was flawed. He's a vessel of dishonor, man. He's flawed. Okay, he said clay had no agency. It was completely dependent on the potter's skill and intention. Reworking clay was normal. If a vessel came out uneven or cracked while still wet, the potter didn't negotiate with it. Okay, the Most High not going to negotiate with Esau, man. It says he crushed it and reshaped it. Okay, and this devil's going to be crushed, all right, and put into captivity, man, and eventually done away with. He's going to be discarded, man. Okay, he's a vessel that's not needed. Okay, it says this background also appears in Jeremiah 18, where the Most High explicitly explains the metaphor. So for clay to question the potter would sound absurd to Isaiah's audience. It says skill and wisdom were associated with the potter. Potters were craftsmen, and this is the Most High. He's like to the potter, the way he crafted, creation. Okay. And he did it through, Yahweh Shai and the Elohim. Okay. And it says potters were craftsmen. Their knowledge of pressure, timing, moisture, and firing temperatures was essential. Saying the potter doesn't understand flips reality upside down. It insults the very source of the object's existence. Come on, man. This is speaking about Esau Edom now, man. This is E. that this is directed to. Okay? Here it is, the devil boasts about him changing this and recreating that. The fact that you exist, okay, he's trying to correct, okay, the entity that's responsible for his existence, man. This is upside down. This man is trying to replace the Most High with something he created, man. This is upside down. Okay? What this man is doing is foolish, man. This ain't nothing, it's a lot. It's organized chaos, man, but it's foolish, man. It can do some things, it's cute, but it's foolish, man. Okay, him trying to replace the Most High with technology, man. This flips reality upside down. Okay, it says why Isaiah uses this metaphor here. In Isaiah, well, that's the point. It's the main point. Okay, but yeah, man, I just want to get that. Okay, so this is where we at, man. Okay, 2026, this man is being called out. Like he's the culprit. Okay, and in every complaint, a culprit is Esau Edom. Okay, matter of fact, let's get that word culprit, man. So I looked it up. Okay, and then I get a precept close out. All right, it says culprit. It says a person who is responsible for a crime, all right, or other misdeed. Okay, he's the culprit, man. All right, the guilty party, the offender, the wrongdoer, the criminal, the lawbreaker, the delinquent, reprobate, okay, evildoer, sinner, bad guy, crook. Okay, this is him. You see? So Esau is the culprit of the planet Earth, man. You see? So let's go here. In the book of Nahum. All right, this is the book of Nahum, chapter 1 and verse 2. It says the Most High is jealous and the Lord revenges. The Lord revenges and is furious. The Lord will take vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserved the wrath, okay, for his enemies. Okay, the number one enemy is Esau, Edom. Okay, it said the Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. The Lord hath his way in the whirlwind and in the storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. Okay, the clouds are the dust of his feet, man. With those chariots, man, is gonna come and get busy, man. Esau not gonna be acquitted. Okay, them chariots gonna come and turn, Esau, all right, to powder, man. This kingdom. Okay, his rulership is gonna be turned to powder. He's gonna go in captivity, man. He's not gonna be acquitted. All his wrongdoing, man. The culprit not gonna get away. Okay, and all his wickedness is being laid out on the table, man, right before his judgment, man. So that's the point. Just want to get into that. Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edified once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Kakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessings, salutation, the whole flesh, Shalom.